literally made my faith in Jesus Christ stronger. Man, if somebody caught me watching this, it would be really bad. People wouldn't even look at me the same if they caught me watching this. Because you can't control yourself now. To hide away from the world and be this weirdo, super pedophilic. How Jeffrey Epstein is not too far from you. You're gonna look at the title of this video and be like, yo, what is this guy talking about? But I kind of want to go over something that, everybody's been talking about. Now, I don't watch politics. I don't pay attention to celebrity gossip because I find it all to be a distraction and just a way to overstimulate the human brain and keeps people distracted from what they're supposed to do in life, right? But one thing that people keep focusing on, and one thing that I can't run away from, is people talking about these Epstein files. And I'm paying attention to the files, and I'm like, and first, let me explain something. When I first looked into the files and I started watching videos on the files, it literally made my faith in Jesus Christ stronger, because everything they were doing was just to go against Jesus Christ. They're literally, when you see the things that they're doing, like sacrificing children and killing babies and eating babies and pedophile shit and all this shit that's so demonic, it makes me realize there is an opposite and opposing force. So if you're an atheist at this point and you can see these files, please explain to me how, because literally all this did was confirm my faith, right? But I want to go into the topic of how Jeffrey Epstein is not too far from you. Meaning, you're just like Jeffrey Epstein in plenty of ways. The only difference between you and Jeffrey Epstein is you don't have money and power. And let me explain, right? So you as a man, you don't have self-control. You don't have discipline. You don't have the ability to not be able to give into your urges when it comes to your lust, when it comes to just smoking weed, when it comes to drinking, when it comes to anything. You don't know how to control yourself. So because you don't know how to control yourself, you then constantly do these things every single day, and you have become a person where you've done the lustful habit so much where it becomes so repetitive to the point where that little lustful habit you have doesn't give you the same dopamine that it gave you when you first started. And it's just compounding interest. So the more you give into whatever lustful thing you're doing, it's just going to get stronger and more violent over time. And that's how all of this works. Like when I was in high school, prime example, I remember I used to smoke weed once every week. Then it became twice every week. Then it became 3 times. Then it became 4 times. And by the time I started smoking at 18, by the time I was 20, I was a full-on pothead, smoking 2-3 blunts a day, right? And that happens with literally every single thing that promotes degeneracy or anything that is degenerate. It can easily go from just something you do to something that you take to the full extreme. The greatest example of this is porn, right? So when it comes to porn, when you watch a whole bunch of it all the time, that is literally, that used to be a way I literally used to go to sleep. I say, I'm going to watch porn tonight, jack off, and go to sleep. That's literally how I used to go to sleep, right? And what happened was over time, the porn wasn't doing it for me. So it became stronger and stronger and stronger. And fortunately, I corrected it and corrected myself before things eventually got worse. But the path that you're on, you could end up typing something in a search bar or watching something that you're like, man, if somebody caught me watching this, it would be really bad. It would be really bad. People wouldn't even look at me the same if they caught me watching this. And the sad thing about porn is it's done in the dark. You can't hide. You can hide your habits, but the crazy thing is you cannot hide the look of someone who is a porn addict. You cannot hide it. It is very visible. I see it all the time in many, many men. I am about 4 years clean of porn right now. Have not watched porn at all in 4 years. And I gave my life to God about 9 months ago, right? Or about 8 months ago. I have not seen a naked woman in 8 months because I just stopped fully giving into my lust. And I told myself I'm going to stay holy till marriage, right? But the thing is, I remember when I was in that state of mind, how anxious I was, how nervous I was. It was a point in time where it was literally hard to talk to people, bro. It was hard to talk to people. Because I'm like, I can't speak. I knew in the back of my mind, I knew I was doing something dark in the secret. And I didn't want anybody to know. Which is crazy, bro. You know, like, you think you can't even stop your degeneracy. You can't stop your porn habit. You can't stop your weed habit. You can't stop your alcohol habit right now as a person, and you are broke. And you're judging Epstein like if you didn't have money and power, you wouldn't get involved in the same things because you can't control yourself now. This is why the worst thing that could happen is for a man who has no self-control to have money and power. Because a man with no self-control, with money and power, he becomes a monster. I see it. You see it every single time. It's always some billionaire dude who comes out finding out he's doing some weird ass shit behind the scenes. Because he thought that constantly giving into his flesh, he was going to find fulfillment in that. You will never find fulfillment in feeding in the flesh. The flesh cannot be fulfilled. It only gets hungrier the more you feed it. The more you feed it, the hungrier your flesh gets, the more you feed it. And that's why it's actually a lot easier for me not to give into my lust, because I'm like, I don't go sleep with a woman no matter if they call me or whatever, or I have friends that say, can we go meet up? And I'll say no, because I know, because in the back of my mind, even though I really want to go, I'll think once I do this, I'm just going to be more eager to do it again and again and again. And then it becomes a cycle. The reason you can't stop your bad habits is because you don't think about after the bad habit is done. You don't think about what happens after you watch porn. You don't think about what happens after you're done being high. You don't think about what happens the next morning when you come home from being drunk. You don't think about that part. Because that part is much longer than the high that you chased. So anytime, if you're a person trying to stop something or subtract things from your life that you know are holding you back, think about, if I do this right now, wait, what is going to happen after that? Most decisions are better once you think about the future, right? If I yell or I scream at somebody, if I get in a heated argument with someone, or I'm mad at my woman and I scream at her and I get mad, what happens after that? Nothing good happens after most bad decisions are made. You just want to feed your flesh immediately. I keep smacking this table. You just want to feed your flesh immediately, when honestly you need to think about the after effect of feeding your flesh, bro. Because it's never, ever going to be something you're always going to regret it. Anytime you feed the flesh, right? You know, and the thing with Epstein is he had so much money and power and so many connections, but he had no self-control over himself as a man. And his money allowed him to hide who he really was. It allowed him to hide away from the world and be this weirdo, super pedophilic freak, trying to fulfill an urge that can never be fulfilled. And this is what happens when you truly just surrender yourself to Satan. You start trying to fulfill your flesh, which will never be fulfilled. And the crazy thing is, the devil knows you can't fulfill your flesh, but he's gonna keep trying to tempt you with things. Say, this will do it. Oh, you sleep with her, that'll do it. Oh, you sleep with him, that'll do it. Oh, a threesome will do it. Oh, a foursome would do it, but it never ever stops. It's just a cycle, bro. It's just a cycle. There's no end to trying to feed the flesh. It's no end to it. It's only a downward slope that just never ends, bro. That's why these men be so evil, bro. Another example, like Epstein, was Diddy, bro. Diddy had been partying since 1990, bro. He had been partying since 1990, getting high, having sex every day since 1990. At any single moment, he fulfilled his desire, fulfilled his fantasies. And over time, for 30 years, he never thought, oh, wait, I'll never be able to fulfill what I'm trying to fulfill right now. I'll never be able to fulfill my lust. And then it just gets to the point where you just become this creepy ass weirdo freak dude who can sit there and watch your wife get fucked. Because you don't understand, you cannot fulfill it, bro. And that's what's going to happen to a lot of you guys, because you think that, I'm not as bad as them. I'm not as bad as them. I just open up the private browser before I go to sleep because I can't sleep without it. Watching porn makes me relax, whatever the case may be. Whatever you guys tell yourself to make you feel better. When in all honesty, all this does is going to make you, I'm telling you, this stop now before it gets bad, bro. Before it gets bad. Jeffrey Epstein's testosterone was like a 130. I think my niece has a higher testosterone than that. There's a direct correlation between low testosterone men and fucking pedophiles. A direct correlation. You never see someone when they pull up the picture of the little PDF, he never looks like some Chad or Tyrone type dude. He's always some fucking weirdo. He's always some weirdo every single time, bro. You think you think the connections that Jeffrey Epstein has, you think this type of person is not putting shit in the foods and not putting shit in the groceries and making sure that the lotions and the shampoos, whatever the case may be, this type of person is in charge of you. And he slowly resents you because you have high testosterone. He slowly resents people like me who have a higher testosterone. Because we don't give into the urge of the flesh so much, but he wants to keep giving into the urge of the flesh and slowly resent the men who don't have the urge of the flesh. So he deliberately uses his power to try to infiltrate the testosterone of all the young men in the world. It's so important that you watch your test, bro. It's so important. They're trying actively to kill you. They're trying to kill you, bro. That's why you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself, bro. Make sure you're not giving into degeneracy. And it's going to be harder to do it by yourself. You have to do it with God, bro. If God is not in the middle of you trying to improve yourself, I guarantee you're not going to last, because you have no other reason to continue. If the only reason you try to be self-improve is for the self, 9 times out of 10, you're going to... I'm sorry for it cut off, but it's not that money is evil, because money isn't evil. It just amplifies what truly owns your heart. So if you as a man are a lustful person without money, the man you will be with money is someone I am truly afraid of. I don't want a lustful man with power around my daughter. I don't want him around my sisters. I don't want him around my mother. I'm very careful about the type of men I keep around me, the way they talk about certain women. Because I have to make sure that, okay, I can't keep this person around me, around family of mine, or around women I care about. Because what is he thinking? I know grown men, husbands, in relationships, right? With women with a wife that loves and cares about them, right? And I know this one guy, he's a husband, and he sits on his phone. And he's sitting on his phone and he's looking at Instagram, and his whole feed It's just half naked women, ass, cleavage. It's just the whole nine. This dude has daughters and a wife. And I'm sitting there next to him and he doesn't care. He's like, oh, this is, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, it's just eye candy. I'm like, all right, whatever. But what that told me is if he's willing to let me see him do that, I can only imagine what he's doing behind closed doors. I can only imagine what he's doing behind closed doors. Because if a man is willing to show you something that he knows is wrong to your face, he's doing something way worse when the door is closed. Every single time, dog. Every single time. Without a question. Without a shadow of a doubt, bro. You know? So, guys, with that, I kind of wanted to go into these files and kind of compare it to what happens to a lot of people, bro. Like, this is pure evil. And these Epstein files don't show you that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, the light, the everything, because they're doing everything just to go against him. They're doing everything just to go against him. That's why a lot of these politicians keep trying to figure out ways to live forever, because they know this life has to come to an end one day, and they're going to have to answer for the bullshit they've been doing. They're going to have to answer for it. That's why they keep trying to figure out eternal life on earth, because they know if once they die, and they know this, people who are super demonic and satanic, trust me, they understand what eternal life is. And because they're demonic, they keep trying to figure out a way to stay on this earth forever, because they know one day the wrath of God is going to come upon them, bro. They know that in the back of their head. You see people like Mark Zuckerberg and fucking Hillary Clinton and all these people who create domes on the earth because one day I'm never creating a dome. I know how this world ends. It doesn't end with a nuclear bomb. It doesn't end with an atomic bomb. It ends with Jesus coming back. And they keep trying to tell you other ways to scare you and fear. I know how this world ends. It ends with God killing the earth, destroying the earth, creating a new one, and you know the whole nine. Read Revelations, bro. The whole nine. So it's okay to want to succeed as a man. It's okay to want to have some power. It's okay to want to have some control. But no matter how far you get in life, you must make sure you are still surrendered and humble under the Lord, bro. You must make sure you are still surrendered and humble under the Lord, because you need that moral compass that only God can give you. All these men who get super rich and just try to sleep with a bunch of hoes, or they're at the club every night, they're like 40 years old and they tat a car logo on the side of their head. These are men that allowed their money to define them. They allowed their money to define them, bro. And now look at them, 40, 45 years old. You're not looking for a family, dog? You're not looking for a family? You don't want to have kids? You don't want to preach the gospel to your family? You don't want to do that? You want to be in a club at 40, 45? I'm about to be 30 and I don't even care about the club anymore. I'm done. I don't care to go out. You're about to be 40 and this is what you want to do? You haven't grown out of this phase yet? But you know, what can you do with some people, you know? So, yeah. Thanks for watching. But yeah. You know, and it's okay to find, it's okay to be a man who just lives a boring life and does what he has to do on a daily basis. It's okay to fall in love with a woman and take care of her. It's okay to want to be married. It's okay to want to have a family. It's okay to go on dates with your woman. It's okay to want to have chill Christmases with the family one day that you as a man created. It's okay to want those things. Don't let these fucking red pill gurus sit here and try to tell you that there's something wrong because you want to have a wife and some kids. Because you want to have one wife and kids. Don't let them tell you that, bro. These people are literally sent by Satan to trick you. Your wife is not a subservient person. She is not below you, bro. She is literally a helper, and you as a man actually have to sacrifice more in order for her benefit, for your family's benefit. And that's the beauty of being a man. The more you sacrifice as a man for the people you love, the better you will feel about yourself.